Welcome back to the Out of Bounds podcast. I am Charlie Caleri alongside
Gavin Williams.
And today we're going to be talking about the NBA play-in and the end of the regular season and just everything in the basketball world up to this point so far. But Gavin, how's your day going, first of all?
Day's going great. Sunshine and rainbows, 65 degrees in St. Bonaventure.
No rainbows.
Well, no rainbows, but sunshine. And in St. Bonaventure, you don't get that a lot in April. So
No, shorts weather.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing. Early April, never get that.
No.
Basketball season, how you feeling about that so far?
Feeling good. This season is absolutely crazy. A lot of teams that we expect to be high or lower, and lower teams are higher. So, a lot to cover today.
Yeah, a lot mixed up. I mean, including college basketball wrapping up soon. Final Four, all 4 1 seeds. If you haven't checked out our March Madness episodes, check those out on our YouTube or on our Instagram.
At Out of Bounds Podcast with a dot between every single word.
With the link in the bio. Check those out, please, if you haven't already. And also, if you haven't checked out our Bonaventure Sports Insider content, which is new, and there's video to it.
Yeah, it's Bonaventure_sports_insider on Instagram.
Check that out, too. We got some good content there. If you want to see our faces for once, we're on there. But for now, let's get into the play-in. We got a lot to talk about today. And we'll talk about the NBA playoffs. So, playoffs start on April 19th. And so the teams will get a little bit of a break in between the top 6 seeds from each conference will get a break from the 13th to the 19th. But those 7 through 10 seeds, which we'll be talking about a lot of them today, or all of them, they might have to play some games during that week. And that's one of the best weeks of the NBA year because it really starts to feel real then. You're done with college basketball, getting into the pros. And the play-in week is always, I mean, the last few years at least since they implemented it, I've always enjoyed it.
No, I have too. And a little shout out to Jason Tatum here. As he said, we're preparing for war because that's what this playoffs is going to be. It's going to be a lot of lower teams really playing up to par with the better teams. So
for sure,
we got to get ready for these playoffs because I think this one might be one of the most exciting ones we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, and there's a lot of top-heavy teams, like this first team that we're going to talk about in the Western Conference, the OKC Thunder. A lot of top-heavy teams. It's a lot of tiering, I guess, in the standings this year. More into that in a little bit. But the Thunder right now, sitting at the top of the West, the clear favorite. They've already clinched the conference for, I think, a few weeks now. I think they're up by 14.5 games on the Rockets, which are the 2 seed. Just insanity. But, Gavin, if you had to pick another favorite in the West, who would you say would be up there with the Thunder? Because they're probably the obvious favorite right now.
No, yeah, I think they're the obvious favorite to win the whole thing. If I had to pick another Western Conference, someone to represent the Western Conference, I would probably say the Denver Nuggets because I cannot exclude any team that has Nikola Jokic on it because that boy is special. And we just saw it the other night. He was special.
Yeah, I mean, while we're getting into it, let's talk about the MVP race a little bit.
Yeah.
First of all, who is your MVP and why?
I got Nikola Jokic, and I'll tell you why. He's averaging a triple-double. Not a lot of people average triple-doubles. And what he can do on the court, I think, in my opinion, is far more exciting than what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander could do. And he's the favorite to win it all. But there's a big difference, and that's free throw attempts. And Nikola Jokic has far less free throw attempts per game. He's averaging less points. Shai's averaging 33 points per game. But Nikola Jokic is still averaging 28-29. And that's without having 20 free throws per game. Plus, he's averaging at least 10 boards, at least 10 assists.
Shai's not shooting that many free throws. He's shooting a lot, but it's not 20.
I know, I might have exaggerated. But, I don't think you can take out... Because if you took out Nikola Jokic from the Denver Nuggets, they would not even be in the same place that they are now. But if you took out Shai, I'm not saying they'd be the 1 seed right now, but I don't think they would be a playoff team. Or sorry, I still do think they would be in a playoff.
Yeah, so, I mean, perfect example. I think last night, Nuggets played, or as we're recording this last night, Nuggets played the Spurs. Spurs won that game. No Jokic, no Christian Braun, no Jamal Murray. And those guys are pretty valuable to the team, but obviously Jokic being out, big part of that. And I think, like you said, I think if the Thunder didn't have Shai, it would be kind of lesser than if the Nuggets didn't have Jokic.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think it all comes down to the name of the award, most valuable player.
Mm-hmm.
Jokic is averaging a triple-double. Insane. He's probably going to finish averaging a triple-double. And, I mean, this guy the other night scored 61 points. He had 61 10-10 in a loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Double overtime loss to the Timberwolves.
I mean, one of the best games probably of the season, if not the best game of the season.
I think it was the best game.
Between two of the faces of the NBA, Anthony Edwards, Nikola Jokic, going at it, battling back and forth. I mean, just an incredible NBA game. If you like basketball, you probably should have liked that game. Go watch the highlights if you haven't.
You don't like this, you don't like NBA basketball.
You don't like NBA basketball. But I just want to point something out that Anthony Edwards said before we talk about all these play-in teams, and we'll kind of segue into the play-in now. Anthony Edwards the other night after this game was talking about Nikola Jokic, and this is from ESPN's Instagram. Anthony Edwards talking about Nikola Jokic.
That might have been the best game of my life, like, that I've been a part of. Nikola Jokic, bro. Oh my God, he might be the best basketball player I've ever seen, like, close up. Besides myself, to myself.
Yeah, I mean, you heard it from Ant. That was a crazy game. 61 points on a triple-double. Insane. Plus, playing a great team and going against a great matchup in Rudy Gobert. That's tough to put 61 points on him.
Yeah, I mean, Rudy Gobert is, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, as we know, and one of the best defensive players in the NBA history. And Nikola Jokic to go into this game, score 61, and the team still lose. I mean, that's just a playoff basketball game.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a playoff basketball game in April if I've ever seen one. And I'm glad it was those two teams because they've given us some playoff battles. I think last year they gave us some playoff battles against each other. Came down to the wire in that series as well. You know, after the series told Chuck to come to Minnesota in a different way.
Yeah.
Let's get into this play-in talk because I mean this 3 through 8 seeds is just insane right now.
No, it really is. All of them are within 2.5 games. 3 through 8. When was the last time you saw that?
A while.
Yeah.
I think there was one year where I remembered the 1 through 8 was all within, or 1 through 6 or something, or 2 through 6 was all within a few games of each other. It's when the Clippers had Lob City, Rockets just got Harden, Spurs were really good, Thunder were really. It was like that kind of era.
Yeah.
I remember that they were all kind of, neck and neck with each other the whole year.
And this is how the West is. The West dominates basketball, and I think they're just kind of showing everybody that, the West is here to play. And it's going to get down and dirty, and you never know what's going to happen 1 through 8.
Yeah, so let's talk about the 3 and 4 seeds right now, just before we get into these lower tier teams, quote unquote. Because honestly, quote unquote is I think a good word for it because you will get into it, but there's some insane talent low on this list that could be better than some better people in the standings. But we'll talk about it. Right now, the Lakers are the 3 seed, unfortunately for me, and the Nuggets are the 4 seed with their loss last night to the Spurs. Both 17.5 games back at the Thunder, but the Lakers still have 2 more games to play than the Nuggets, so pretty interesting there as well to monitor. But the Lakers really positioning themselves in a great spot to make a good playoff push and face that 6 seed.
Yeah, I think the Lakers really turn around their season, especially with having the biggest trade and in-season trade in NBA history with getting Luka Doncic. Everybody thought, 2 ball hogs on one team, it's not going to end out well, but they're finding a way to get it done, and that's why they're the 3 seed right now.
Yeah, I think Luka definitely recognizes the, I don't say privilege that he has right now, but I guess the luxury of playing with a guy like LeBron James. I mean, he doesn't need the ball all the time. It's a lot of pressure off of him. He can be the guy to come off screens and be a spot-up shooter, which is insane.
Yeah.
He can be the guy to play make and do the same thing for LeBron, which is insane. And then if neither of them are hitting, it's probably Austin Reeves going off. So the only thing with the Lakers is their big men. They've been been playing pretty well since Anthony Davis has been gone, but I don't know if that's really going to hold up too well in the playoffs, especially against some of these bigger teams, because where they're slotted right now, there's some really good centers they might be playing, or big men they might be playing.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Something to monitor there. But let's get into these 5 through 11 seeds, because we already talked about the Nuggets a little bit. So starting with the 11 seed, we're going to be going through here talking about the ceiling and floor for all of the play-in caliber teams in the Western Conference. We'll be doing the same for the East afterwards, so stay tuned for that in the second half of the episode. But for right now, let's talk about the Phoenix Suns, the 11th seed in the West right now. Gav, what do you think is the ceiling for them, and what do you think the floor is?
Yeah, I feel bad for the Suns because they tried so hard to make this super team work, but it's not working. I think their ceiling is to make the play-in. I don't think they can win a play-in game, but I think it's to make the play-in. I think their floor is to not make the play-in and go on to focus on the draft lottery.
Yeah, their record right now is 35-41. They're 29 games back of the Thunder, 1 game back of the Sacramento Kings, who, I mean, they're playing some basketball right now. I don't know if it's good or bad, but they're playing some basketball right now. But back to the Phoenix Suns here. I think that I agree with you. I think their ceiling is to make the play-in. Yeah, and their floor is the draft lottery probably. I don't think this team, they don't really look like they want to win. And even when they do, they need 30 points from Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. I mean, Devin Booker scored 40 points the other night and they lost in Milwaukee, so that's pretty tough for them. But they really have no depth. They traded away all their depth. Bradley Beal hasn't hit for them.
Nope.
A lot of things have gone wrong coaching-wise for them, especially with Mike Budenholzer running.
Which is
whatever.
a great coach, but
Great coach, not great for that system.
not great for that system.
Not great for that city. So the Suns need to figure some things out in the offseason. It's probably better for them if they don't make the playoffs. Maybe try to get a draft pick. I don't know what their situation is. I think their pick actually goes to the Rockets if they don't get into the playoffs or if they're top 10.
Wow.
So that would be something to monitor right there. But moving on right now to the 10 seed, the Sacramento Kings, who I touched on a little bit. I think personally their ceiling is to lose to the Thunder in the first round. I think they could make the playoffs. I think they could to push through the play and win those 2 games and challenge the Thunder. I'm a little bit higher on the Kings than Gavin is. I think they could push the I think Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and Domantas Sabonis are good enough to steal 1 or 2 games from the Thunder. Gab doesn't think so. And then I think for their floor, it's also the draft lottery.
Yeah, you're pretty high on the Kings. If I look right now, 7 through 10, Clippers, Grizzlies, Mavs, and then obviously the Kings.
I get it.
But if we look at all these possible matchups, if the playoffs started today, they'd be matching up against Dallas. I think they could win a game against Dallas. I really do. Especially with the absence of Kyrie Irving with his ACL injury out for the season. I don't see them winning a second game, whether it's Golden State, Minnesota, the Clippers, or Memphis. I don't see them winning a game. So I'm going to say their ceiling is to win the first playoff game, and their floor is to drop out of the play and maybe the Suns jump them.
Yeah, definitely something to look for there. Let's move on to the 9 seed there. Like you talked about, the Dallas Mavericks, who, were obviously a part of that Luka Doncic trade. Getting Anthony Davis back in return, he gets hurt early, and then Kyrie goes down. Anthony Davis comes back. They're banged up after that finals last year. Kind of just a lost season for them. I mean, I think their ceiling is to win a play-in game, beat the Kings. I think that's the goal for both of those teams. But yeah, I think they could realistically miss the playoffs as well. I mean, they're only 2.5 games up on the Suns. If they start to lose more games, I mean, the Suns don't look like they really. The Suns have lost 4 in a row, so not great for them trending wise. But Dallas could fall out realistically, and that would be something very interesting in the future.
Yeah, completely agree. I think if they were to win a game, it would be against the Kings. Like I said, for the Kings, I don't see them beating any of the top 5 or the 5 through the 8. I do think that the ceiling for this Dallas Mavericks team is to win against the Kings if that's how it started, but I don't see them going any higher than that. And for their floor, off to the draft lottery, praying for that top 10 pick that they want.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on now to the teams that would be in the playoffs if the play-in didn't exist right away.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I'm very glad that the play-in does exist. I think it just adds to the season. I mean, obviously it does add to the season, but I was talking about it yesterday. It kind of reminds me of the old MLB wildcard game. It's like the whole season comes down to that game. You need your best from those players, and obviously, with these kind of players, we're going to be seeing some great basketball if we see some of these players in here. Like if we can see, Domantas Sabonis against Anthony Davis in a game 7 essentially. That's something I think most NBA fans want to see. So I personally like the plan. But 8 seed here is the Grizzlies. After last night's events, I think their ceiling personally, I think it's just getting to the playoffs. I don't know who it's going to be against: Thunder, Rockets, Lakers, whoever it ends up being. I think their floor is also the first round. I think that they just make it. I think I'm so confident that the Grizzlies get to the playoffs, but then they do nothing there. So I think the Grizzlies' ceiling, I guess, is 6 games in the playoffs, and their floor is 5 games.
Wow.
in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, so kind of close ceiling and floor there.
I'm pretty on the same page. I think they can get into the playoffs, and that's their ceiling, is just getting there. I don't think they'll be able to steal a game necessarily, so I'd say the ceiling is to make the playoffs, and the floor is to get swept.
Shifting gears now to my favorite team, the Los Angeles Clippers. And Gav, I just want to hear your ceiling and floor before I get into my ceiling and floor.
Yeah, I see the ceiling for the Clippers is a Western semis, or like take it to 7 in the Western semis. I want to say Western Conference Finals, but we mentioned this off the podcast. I'll mention it on the podcast now. It all depends on matchups. And right now, I think the fear for me and the Clippers not getting to the Western Conference Finals is matchups. So I do think that their ceiling is the 7th game in the Western semis, but I think their floor is to lose the first round, depending if they get that bad matchup.
Personally, I mean, mostly in the same ballpark as you. I'm a pretty realistic fan, I like to think. And I really do enjoy this team. This is the most enjoyable Clippers team I have watched since that 2018-2019 team with Shea and Lou Will and Pat Bev and Gallinari and Montrez and all those guys. I miss those guys a lot. But anyway, this team, I like this team a lot. Where we're at right now, the way that the standings fall right now, I'd be perfectly fine with ending the season right there. 7th seed, playing the Grizzlies in the play-in at home. The winner plays the Rockets. I'm totally down for that. That's my ideal matchups right there. And like you said, it's all going to come down to matchups. If we play the Timberwolves in the play-in, I think we lose that. If we play the Grizzlies in the play-in, I think we win that one. If we play the Warriors in the play-in, I think that's a toss-up. It really all depends on the matchups. We match up well against the Lakers, match up well against the Grizzlies, match up well against the Rockets. We don't match up well against the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, and the Thunder. The common denominator with that is athletic big man. I love Zubac, love that guy, and he's become a great athletic defender, but at the end of the day, we don't really have the pieces to guard, especially 2 of them on the Thunder. They're a tough team to stop, but, enough with the yapping. Western Conference Final, I think, is the ceiling for the Clippers. Realistically, I honestly think we could get there.
How many games?
I think we could push it to 7.
7?
I mean, I think if we could be in that. I mean, I think anytime that you have a guy that can affect a game, a playoff game, like Kawhi Leonard or James Harden, as well as the shot making of Norman Powell, and the defense of Chris Dunn, Derek Jones Jr., and a little bit of veteran leadership from Nick Batum, and then shot chucking of Amir Coffey. I think those are the recipes, maybe besides coffee, I think are the recipes for, and Bogdanovich too, coming in and playing a great role for us, being a spot up shooter, kind of along the same lines as Norm. I think could really help us in the playoffs if we're all healthy. It really depends on health, depends on matchups, and I think I'll have a lot more clarity on this after Sunday, April 18th, at 7 o'clock probably. But until then, I think I'm going to be having these discussions of, we could be the 5 seed, we could be the 9 seed, we could, we could play whoever. So it's really up in the air right now. But I think Western Conference Final or losing the first round is the floor.
That's the floor?
Yeah.
I think if you got paired up with like the Thunder.
Yeah, I think I don't even know. It could be the Rockets. I mean, the Rockets are a really good team. I just think the floor, I think we get in the playoffs. I'd be very disappointed if we lose in the play-in. That'd be just terrible.
No, I think they get in the playoffs.
I hope so, man. I hope so. Moving on now to the Timberwolves, who we touched on Ant a little bit, who, if you know Ant, he doesn't like bragging about other players. So big deal from that clip that we played about him bragging about Nikola Jokic a little bit. But what do you think about the Timberwolves and the direction that they're going in this year?
They flipped it completely from last year. They made the Western Conference Finals, lost to Luka, and they traded Cat in the beginning of the season, which was a crazy trade. They brought in Dante DiVincenzo, Julius Randle. So they completely flipped the script on how they wanted to be as a basketball team. And last year, if I'm not wrong, they were 2 or 3 seed. And
yep.
Now they're all the way down at 6. It's a very different West than last year, in my opinion. But I think Timberwolves, as long as you got Ant on the court, it's kind of the same thing with Jokic that I was saying. If you have Ant on the court, I think anything's possible. And we saw last year against the Suns and the Nuggets, he turned up in both those series. And I think that's why they got as far as they did, was because of Anthony Edwards. So, for my ceiling, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'd say Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals against whoever's there. And for their floor, I don't see them as a first-round exit. I really don't. And maybe if I were to say a floor, it would be Game 7 of the first round. But I think the realistic floor for the Timberwolves, like we said, in the West, it really just depends on matchups. But I realistically could see just a second-round loss, a Western semi-loss as their floor.
This is one of those weird triangles that I have in my mind, at least, and I'm with you mostly on here. I think I've changed my ceiling for them. I originally had a second round. I think it could be Western Conference Finals, honestly, the way that, Ant willed his team the other night against Jokic, and the way that Gobert was playing defense against Jokic, even though he had 61 points. I mean, getting stops when they needed to win that game. But I honestly think their floor is the plan. I know that's my biggest ceiling. I know I've had the Grizzlies were, a little bit smaller, and the Timberwolves are a wide range, but this is the weird triangle I have in my mind of the Clippers, Grizzlies, and Timberwolves. If the Clippers play the Timberwolves, I think the Clippers lose. If the Timberwolves play the Grizzlies, I think the Timberwolves lose. If the Grizzlies play the Clippers, I think the Grizzlies lose. So it's a big triangle in my mind of those three teams and the matchups and just the way it works out. My mind is like Jaren Jackson against Rudy Gobert versus Ivica Zubac versus Rudy Gobert versus James Harden versus Anthony.
It's just matchups.
It's just matchups. It's literally all it is.
That's more of the story from today's episode.
It's going to come down from if you get one thing out of this, it's matchups.
It's matchups.
And a team that nobody wants to get matched up with in the first round is the 5 seed. Golden State Warriors, the way that Steph Curry and that team has been playing since they acquired Jimmy Butler on a different level. They were down near where the Suns and the Kings were, shot all the way up to the 5 seed. What do you think about them? Where do you think they can go?
I just mentioned this about the Timberwolves, but they actually completely just reset and just kept Curry and Draymond, and we'll just go figure out what we're going to do. And that's exactly what they did come trade deadline. They got Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat. Obviously, everybody knows who Jimmy Butler is, longtime Heat and Timberwolf and Bull and Sixer, but he always leaves out the Timberwolf part. He hated being a Timberwolf. But for specifically Golden State, I think anybody who ever sees Steph Curry in a playoff game should be terrified, because I've seen my Boston Celtics go against him in the finals, and it was not great. So I think the ceiling for Golden State would be the Western Conference Finals, possible Game 7. I do think there are other teams in this conference that could take them, though, before they would be representing the West. So I think their ceiling is Western Conference Finals, and their floor, if Curry doesn't ball out like how he does, and say they need to rely on Jimmy Butler. And I know Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy, is a thing, but I mean, age comes with that.
But as a second option too.
But no, as
have we seen playoff Jimmy as a second option?
We've never seen playoff Jimmy as a second option. So I would say if the playoffs started right now, I'm gonna kind of use that narrative.
Right.
Right now they'd be matched up with the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets take that series. So I'm gonna say their floor as of right now is a first round exit, but their ceiling, it could be as good as Western Conference Finals. So the big margin of error, good success. You never know what can happen with this Warriors team, which we've seen in years past when they won the finals in 22.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you there. I think it's kind of the same thing. I think Western Conference Final is definitely their ceiling, but I think it's the same as the Timberwolves for me. I think it's the plan. If they get into the plan, and depending on the matchups, all it takes is, we've seen games where obviously Curry can go nuclear, but we see games
52
where
the other night.
But we see games also where Curry's kind of chucking.
Yeah,
those don't happen as often, but
they can happen.
But they can happen, and there's ways to get around the Warriors when Curry is making shots too. So I think depending on, once again, the matchup, I think the Warriors could be out in the plan. I don't anticipate it. Don't anticipate it at all, really. But it is a possibility, so something to kind of monitor there. But as we kind of shift out of the Western Conference here into the Eastern Conference, let's get back into the favorites. Let's get back out of the middle. Let's go back into the favorites here. Maybe touch on your team a little bit, the Boston Celtics, one of the favorites in the East. What do you think about the top of the East right now?
I think
it's kind of your domain.
Yeah, no, it is my domain. I think that the two favorites are the Cavs and the Celtics. And other than that, I think you can make a case for maybe the Knicks because they play in MSG, and that's a really hard place to play. But I think if we're looking at it right now, I think it's Cavs or Celtics that could be representing the East. And obviously, big Celtics guy. I'm never going to not say that they're going to win, but I think the Celtics, when they get fully healthy and they have that starting 7 to 8, it's one of the most scariest teams in basketball. But I'm not going to disclude the Cavaliers for what they've done. They fired JP Biggerstaff, whole new coaching, brand, same kind of team, and only minus a couple guys. And look at this. They're at the very top of the conference, and they are 61-15. And I'm going to note something. They are 33-5 at home. That's unreal. Unreal. And I'm going to compare a little bit. So the Cavs are 33-5 at home. The Celtics are 24-13 at home. So a big difference there. The Cavs are 28-10 on the road, which is really good. And then the Celtics are 32-7 on the road.
Which is very good.
So if these two teams pair up in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's the battle of if Cleveland can stay hot at home or if Boston can stay hot away. And that's a big conversation to have. But I think those are the two contending dogs, especially my Boston Celtics. When everybody's healthy, I think they're the most dangerous team in basketball.
Yeah, no, I agree with you for sure. I mean, we talk about it all the time how, you know, if JT's having an off night, it's Jaylen Brown going off. If he's having an off night, it's Porzingis. You know, if it's not him, it's probably Derek White. If it's not
Drew
him,
Holiday.
it's Peyton Pritchard's going 40. You know,
Or it's Drew
unreal.
Holiday, or it's Sam
unreal.
Hauser, or it's Al Horford.
Right,
We can
the
keep
list
going.
list just keeps going, man. But I really like the Cavs. Really like the Cavs. But I did say it a few weeks ago when we did have our NBA episode. If you haven't checked that out, check that out. I did say I have the Knicks coming out of the East, which might still be shocking to people, but I really like the way that they played together. I like the team chemistry that they have. Obviously, the Cavs and Celtics have great team chemistry. That's why they're so good. But the Knicks have a synergy between the 5 starters between them that I don't think the other teams have necessarily.
And they switched it right up, too, so that's kind of surprising how fast that their chemistry was able to build on.
Well, it's
a crazy
because of Tom
offseason.
Thibodeau and how crazy he is with his rotation.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude plays 40 minutes. All 5 starters probably 40 minutes a night, so they get a lot of looks at each other. Not much bench depth on that team, but they addressed it well with saying, "Hey, if we don't have much depth, let's just play our guys who we're paying a lot of money, and let's just have them go out there." I
can
think
earn
these
that money.
guys with the conditioning that they'll have, it'll help them later in the season as we get into these kind of games that are really important, where your legs might be dragging a little bit, and then you get into the playoffs where you get some fresher legs. Everybody gets fresher legs, but I think the Knicks will be a little bit more fresh than everybody else
Because they're so used to it.
because they're so used to it, and I think that'll push them a little bit further in the playoffs than most people expect. I still think they get to the finals. I still have them coming out of the East, which might be crazy to say with the Cavs and Celtics being kind of the sexy picks this year, but I really like the Knicks this year, man. I
Hey.
really do.
Got
And it's tough for me to say because I don't really love I try to stay away from rooting for teams that play in the Madison Square Garden. But Johns and the Knicks have really kind of pulled me in this year. So
Wow.
haven't had that pull from the hockey
Not
side.
that
but
third team.
had that pull from basketball, but not from hockey.
I got a big win in overtime last night to
What
the
did you,
Wild.
huh?
Big
That is a
win.
big one.
Big win.
Zuccarello.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big win.
Zuccarello, yeah.
So now we're gonna go. We're gonna talk right about the 6 to 10 teams because it's pretty set, and 1 through 6 is pretty set. We'll mention some possible matchups though. So Cleveland's the 1 seed. They have that locked. Well, let's be honest, they got it locked. Boston's the 2 seed. They got that locked. Now we have the Knicks at 3,
They're locked.
which they're locked as well. So now we have 4 seed Pacers against 5 seed Pistons,
which, I mean, the Pacers are pretty much locked in at the 4 as well.
yeah,
Which is pretty funny because they're all kind of separated by 3 games. So it would be, we're going to say that they're locked because chances are 7 games you're not making them 3, especially with playoffs right around the corner and some
Yeah.
teams taking and whatever. But like you were alluding to, that 4-5 matchup is going to be really interesting. A Central Division matchup, whichever way we see it. It'll be the Pacers hosting the Pistons, the young, energetic
out of
Pistons,
nowhere.
or kind of the worn down older Bucks team. It would be a very different series either way. Be either a lot of energy between the Pistons and Pacers. That would be a fun series. I really want that.
Or a playoff rematch from last
Or
year.
a playoff rematch from last year. So right, I'm really excited for that matchup. Whatever it ends up being, the loser, I guess, of the Pistons Bucks seeding will play the Knicks. So good luck to them.
Yeah.
And then as we move further down, like you were alluding to, the 7 through 10, this is when it's very locked. I mean,
Yeah.
11 through 15 in the East, Toronto, Brooklyn, Philly, Charlotte, Washington. they've been kind of locked down there for the
I
year.
mean, they're all
in the
eliminated.
basement. Yeah, they're all
They
eliminated.
cannot even make the play-in.
Right.
So that's something to think about. I mean, in the West, there's only 2 teams eliminated right now. But then you look in the East, and 5 teams are already eliminated. I mean, I know we're saying already it's pretty much the end of the season, but that just
Still 2
shows
weeks
you
to go, yeah.
that just shows you the difference between the East and the West, and it's
Right.
been like this for years.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's something I definitely wanted to point out. So we'll start with the 10 with Chicago, which is definitely
They
not
clinched a play-in berth.
They they did it.
They've clinched a
They
play-in
did it.
berth.
They do the same thing every year. They just make the 10 seed. They're locked to the 10 seed
Mediocrity,
every
man.
year.
Besides that one year when they played did they play the Celtics in the playoffs? When DeMar DeRozan was nuclear the one year, and I think they were the 4 seed or something, or the 5 or the I don't know. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. Levine was crazy. I'll look that up, but
Yeah.
but I think they might have played. I don't know.
But
But they were. Other than that, they've been the definition of mediocrity the last few years.
yeah, so they're slotted in. They're 34 and 42, but I think their ceiling is to win the first game in the playoff against. Like right now, it's Miami. I think their floor is to just lose in the first game. I don't think they get to the playoffs at all. I think Chicago is that kind of team where, like we were saying, like they're mediocre, and that's all they're going to be this season at least. And they shipped off a couple key pieces, and that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to be out after the first night.
So just looked it up. They lost in the Eastern Conference Final first round. They were the 6th seed in the 2021-2022 season. So that was the year that the Warriors beat the Celtics in the championship, and they played the Bucks in the first round.
Because
And
DeMar
the Bulls-
DeRozan's daughter was going nuts.
Yes. You remember that now?
Yes, I do.
And he scored 41 points. That was the next year. That was the next year,
that was
actually.
a play-in in the next year.
Or the year before. But they've been in the play-in a lot.
Yeah,
And this goes to show they've been in the play-in
they're
a
a
lot.
solidified play-in team.
Them, and then
The Hawks.
The Hawks, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. But let's get to the Miami Heat. Or wait, I didn't even say my floor and ceiling.
Come on.
My bad.
Can't forget about that.
It's the play-in.
Yeah,
That's their floor and ceiling. It's the play-in. Unfortunately for them, another year mediocrity in Chicago. Buzelis is a really good player. Montes Buzelis, he's a really good player, so that's a guy for the future there. Kobe White's been really good this year. Josh Giddey hit that half-court shot.
Yeah, against LeBron.
Against the Lakers. That was huge.
Yeah.
So stepping stones for Chicago. Hopefully, I want the Bulls to be good again, man. Everybody wants that. Moving on now to the 9 seed, the Miami Heat, who have really fell off since Jimmy Butler. All his drama, and he didn't play, and he did play, but didn't play well like he cared. And
it was weird.
Got traded, and then
Weird
now it's
season.
just Bam and Tyler Hero, and Hero was hurt, and all weird stuff around Miami this year. It's kind of just a wash season for them as well. Same with the Mavericks. For me, I think their ceiling is winning the first play-in game, and then probably losing the second one to either the loser of Atlanta and Orlando.
I'm going to completely agree with you there. I think ever since Miami was the 8 seed that went to the finals, and ever since that last game against the Nuggets, they have never been the same team. Never. And I know Spo is a great coach.
And you kind of knew, too.
Yeah, you kind of felt it.
Yeah.
And Spo is an amazing coach. I'm never going to take that away. He's one of the best coaches in the NBA. But it's kind of tough when you don't have anything on your team. And that's exactly what he has, is nothing. I mean, I'm not going to say Jaime Jaquez can beat Trae Young or Paolo Banchero. I can't say that. I can't.
Yeah, it's totally fair. And it's really tough when you don't have the buy-in from a guy who had such big buy-in the last few years. I mean, Jimmy was all about the Heat.
He was
culture.
Miami.
I thought he was a Miami Heat for life. I thought he was going to be that kind of guy. I thought, realistically, he might get his jersey number retired. I mean, taking them to 2 finals. I know they didn't win, but, I mean, basically by himself in the bubble. That was
playoff
unreal.
Jimmy.
That was unreal. Yeah, that's where playoff Jimmy really was solidified right there. But Miami needs to figure some things out. I think they can get it turned around. I think the season's just kind of a wash. Like I said, I think them and Dallas are in a very similar spot. They have the pieces to go, but it's just kind of not this year. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. But moving on now to the 8th seed. Playing usual right here. The Atlanta Hawks. I mean, these fans must hate the play-in. They have to hate the play-in, man. The ceiling, I think, for the Atlanta Hawks is to honestly get to the first round. I think they could play the Cleveland Cavaliers, beat Orlando in that first game, or win that second game and play the Celtics. But I think after, which you probably don't want to see again.
No,
but,
that scared me.
I think they could steal 1 or 2 games in the first round. I think Trae Young is good enough, and we've seen it, especially against your Celtics. We've seen him take them to 6 and hit some buzzer beaters against them and play some really good playoff basketball games. So Atlanta's going to be kind of a weird team with Terrence Mann now, who is the assistant general manager at Florida State basketball. He just got signed today.
And actually, Trae Young is the assistant general manager at Oklahoma.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to Atlanta for getting on the Woj train, I guess.
Yeah, baby.
Shout out Woj. And then, so what do you think about Atlanta?
Yeah, I think they're ceiling, getting to the first round, and maybe stealing a game or 2. Same kind of thing, because I've seen it firsthand what Trae Young can do in a playoff game. He can have 40, he can have 30, he can have 10. So
right.
I think their ceiling is to steal a game or 2, and their floor is just to, I guess, get swept in the first round.
Yeah, you think they get swept?
I think that's their floor.
Oh, the floor. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So it's making the playoffs, but getting swept.
Fair
I
enough.
think that's their floor.
Fair enough. I think it's gonna be interesting to see what the Hawks do because they've been so mid for so long, and they have such a good player.
Except for that 1 year.
Except for that 1 year when they went to the conference final, but I mean, kind of weird year that year.
Everybody knew it was the Bucks year. Everybody knew it was.
I mean, I think if the Clips this is a hot take, but if the Clips played the Bucks in that, I'm not saying we win, and I know the Suns gave them a great series, 6 games, but the Suns kind of blew it. I think the Clippers would have been in that series the whole time. I don't know if we win it, but I still think about that 2021 year, man.
You might be a little out of bounds
Still
right now.
think about it. Ooh.
Might be a little out there.
I don't think I am. I mean, let us know what you think in the comments, man.
Yeah, drop it down in the comments
Let us know
below.
what you think. Let's move on now to the 7th seed in the East, Orlando Magic. Hey.
Oh.
I think their ceiling is to kind of the same as Atlanta, clinch the first round, play Cleveland or Boston, and then I think probably win a game, maybe 2. All depends on health, who's going to be on. But Orlando this year, I mean, they got pieces for the future. It just wasn't their year, man. Paulo was hurt too long.
Yeah, not as electric as it was last year. They came out they were the Pistons last year. They came out of nowhere, and then they had a pretty good series in round 1, but it's not the same kind of deal this year. I'm going to agree with the ceiling, and I'd say the floor is to get swept. Same kind of thing with the Hawks. I think it'd be a tough matchup either with Cleveland or Boston to walk in there and see what can happen. But I think ceiling is stealing a game or 2.
Yeah, for sure. This is going to be a great play-in, both sides, East and West. The more we talk about it, I'm pretty excited about the East, too, because it might not be as good of quality of teams, but the quality of games is probably going to be just as good. Get some star players in there like Trae Young. See some young guys with the Bulls. I mean, if you haven't watched the Bulls game yet, that'll be a good time, too.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side for the West, I mean, you could be seeing James Harden versus Anthony Edwards in the first playing game. Second game you're turning on, it's DeMar DeRozan versus
That's
Anthony
crazy.
Davis. That's pretty good, man. So I'm pretty excited for this playoffs. Before we leave, though, what do you think the final 7-8 seeds, just the 7 and 8,
Okay.
are going to be for both conferences?
I'll start in the East because I think it's pretty straightforward. I'll take Orlando and Atlanta, and then
In order, 7-8.
Yep, in order. And then for the West, I think this is a lot more hard to do. But I think in the 7 seed is Minnesota, and the 8 seed's Memphis.
Wait, so who misses the playoffs there?
Dallas and Sacramento.
Oh, so the Clips is
Clips go up to
6.
6.
Oh, okay. I was a little nervous there, man. A little nervous there. I'm gonna have the Clips staying on the outside looking in, and I'm actually gonna have it staying the way it is now. I think the Clips stay at the 7 seed, and I think Memphis stays at the 8 seed, and I think we go on to have the right to play the Houston Rockets in the first round of the
You
NBA
gotta fight
playoffs.
for your right to party,
Fight
man.
for your right to get to the playoffs, man, in the play-in. And then in the East, I think the same thing. I think Orlando 7 seed, Atlanta 8 seed.
That's gonna be a good
wouldn't
first
be
game,
shocked.
though.
Would not be shocked if the Chicago Bulls sneak in there. Would not
Really?
be. They're playing some good basketball right now.
All right.
They're playing some hot basketball right now. So that's what it takes. That's what it takes when you're going to the playoffs, man. Play your best basketball, then. You have to.
Yeah, absolutely have to.
If you guys like this episode, make sure you subscribe. No, I'm just kidding. Whatever. Just watch it, man. I mean, if you guys enjoy it, let us know.
Let us know. Comments.
Let us know what you want to
Yep.
see in the future. And hopefully you enjoy the plan.
Yeah,
the
enjoy
playoffs.
it. Enjoy
Yeah.
it.
Get your popcorn ready.
And yeah, get the popcorn. Get the popcorn
maybe
going.
a drink or two,
Whatever
or
beverage you
3.
like. Whatever beverage.
whatever beverage.
And we'll also have another playoff episode when teams are locked, and we'll go through a little bit more, maybe a little bracket style in there too.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for we're gonna have some NHL on the way too, with the NHL wrapping up very soon, way sooner than, I don't know, kind of the
wanted
season.
to?
The season I felt like just started for both these leagues,
I know.
so it's kind of just all moving so quick.
You're
I feel
so
like we
locked
always say
in.
this, yeah. But again, NHL on the way. Stay tuned for that, and make sure you follow up on our Bonaventure Sports Insider stuff.
Yep.
Stuff on our YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. And thank you guys, and have a day.
Have a day.